You guys all have Brian's quote in front of you somewhere in your pile?
It's such a deep pile.
Other pile, Clay. The other pile.
How many piles you got here?
That's like it's two piles.
Slave
We
driver.
got piles.
He's a double pile.
She must be like a pilot. I was here and talking to her.
So you found your vehicle that you'd like to purchase?
Well, yeah, I found it last week on the internet. Was looking for something, and it's a used. It's 2014. It's got just under 51,000 miles on it. Price $18,185. I asked if they had a government discount. She said not to use vehicles. So they won't get that program. It was funny. Went up. Found it Thursday. Went up Friday. Talked to Ray Titus up there, and told him I was interested in it. Said I can't do anything until next Wednesday. The commissioners see it, and I said, "Can you hold it?" And he just sent it with me. It's parked out here. If you want to look at it.
So that's who's taking my space.
Oh, you buy DG usually?
That's out here?
Yeah, it's just sitting right
It'll
here.
be here.
It's I said it's got a lot of bells and whistles that I don't need,
Yeah,
but
say, what are you gonna use the cylinders for?
yeah, but they say finding a used one with
Yeah.
50,000 miles will last me forever.
How many miles do you think you put on it? Just guessing. You put 10? Really?
Not on that. Because I mean, they use it for, well, if they check with, what water oil services and then my noxious weed meetings and stuff, if I have to pick up some chemical things. Not very often. It is four-wheel drive. It need four-wheel drive. They say clearance-wise, it has just a little less clearance than the Trailblazer had, but it does have more than, I was looking at some others up there, and it is set a little higher clearance than the other SUVs, so I kind of like that. And as far as financing it, I'll turn it over to my esteemed colleague from the clerk's office, Mrs. Keenan.
How's it look like from underneath the side of the bus?
We thought he could purchase half of it out of his noxious weed capital outlay, since he does use it to go to noxious weed meetings, and stuff like that. And then in county general, courthouse general, we have that mobile equipment line item, which we buy a sheriff's vehicle out of that every year. But in the past years, we've budgeted for 2 vehicles just because we want to keep extra in there. So we've got 26,000 left in that line. So I thought maybe we could take the other half out of that since he's going to use it for environmental services too, which falls under the general bucket. I think we can justify doing that. I don't know any other way he's going to be able to get it because you can't swing it totally out of your capital.
Not until I get
So,
money for the other stuff.
And, I mean, if one of us is going to a day meeting and he's not using it, maybe we can jump in and do it. It's a nice enough deal. We really should go look at it. It's very nice. So I think we can easily do that and not create any issues. That would be my proposal.
Do you need a trailer hitch?
Is that?
Do you need a trailer hitch? No?
Not for that.
I'm saying, there's a spot there for it. but
Yeah.
It is bolted in.
To be honest, I didn't really might have one.
He can look
You already looked at it? No, I wouldn't see any reason that I would be pulling anything.
Oh, yeah, the other trip.
Right.
So the other half is coming out of the courthouse,
This vehicle's almost as smart as you.
It's smarter than I, trust me.
And that'll leave about 17,000 in the courthouse general fund. Then how much will be transferred in next year?
We'd like to announce the next year.
That's 27. How much is that?
57,000 total for the vehicle, mobile equipment purchases. And we doubled that, I don't know if you were on board, when kind of in mid-year, we were gonna get another officer, so we thought we'd have to buy 2 vehicles. And but it's kind of worked out where we never have, but we just kept that in there.
That's when we did the increase in the budgeting and stuff, and,
Yes.
but I think it was 35,000 in the deaf fund for outfitting of a new.
Yeah, so we just kind of, we've always just kept that in there just in case.
Still think you got a good price myself for that.
Yep.
I would move that we purchase the 2014 Jeep Cherokee for $18,185 and take half of the county general, and half of the officer's fee.
A second?
Do I need to repeat that? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. What are you gonna do with that other one? Just,
Oh, did we get any bids?
I didn't, did you?
Purple Wave on the diesel line?
Is it, it's not.
Well, I gotta call about
It was
the ambulance,
today.
let me just do
Or, I mean, you're
that on
supposed to
there
do that.
too.
I didn't even get a call, did you
Bill
get
said
a
he's
call?
I got several calls.
Bill said he's gonna do that, and once he can put it on that.
I just,
Or you don't like the Purple Wave?
I just get answer a lot of questions, tell people you gotta put a new motor in it. It just, cause that's what I talked to, several people called and asked me why.
Why, was it just 5 cylinders?
Once I told them, I said, well, the cylinder has 0 compression. Somebody's like, oh, it might not be a hole in the piston, it might be this and that. And I was like, for $100 you could find
Put a
that.
bid on it.
But apparently, no one ever did.
Somebody will buy it off of there just for body parts.
That's why I
I
assumed
never
he
even
did.
had a call.
I just assumed he would too.
Forget about it.
Well, you know, the other alternative is Purple Wave then.
Maybe iron.
You either put it out on the highway for sale, call Ryan.
But we have a four-way stop, I could just idle it and let it go out in the middle of 28150. Somebody take care of it. Oh, what?
No,
Just
not
dump
this
it in
morning.
the pasture somewhere.
Troopers down there checking southbound traffic, so.
Well, I figure, what happened if everything was taken out of it, the tires off, and it was
No,
just
we
sitting in
were
the
on-
middle of the courtyard?
No.
Oh, we can do Purple Wave.
What would happen if you grew your hair out and had a ponytail?
Ooh, that'd be good too.
Who's talking?
Wow. Touche.
Rough crowd this morning.
So do you wanna give it a couple more weeks to see if you can get any bids on it before you do Purple Wave?
Well, because I'd like to,
Just go on.
that's what I was gonna call Lawrence, we go out there and do it. I thought maybe drive it out to Lawrence,
Yeah.
because I mean, it runs. I mean, I don't know how long it will run.
See if we can-
I'd almost guarantee you that's the intake valve. Probably broke rock or something like that.
See, that'd be
Yeah, but if you don't make it out there, then you gotta have it towed.
Yeah.
And then you go get in a hole. What year is that other?
It's a
Yeah, we got the
2005.
grapple on the motor.
Just under 80. Yeah, it's 2005 with 80,000 miles on it.
Because Fisher's, when I was out there, they said they did a compression check, and the one cylinder has absolutely no compression. But you pull out the dipstick while it's running, it doesn't have excessive flow by, so it's not a whole lot of piston. It's gotta be your intake valve, or the water or something.
Marsh or something, that'd be interesting.
I'm not running, I'm just visiting.
Just asking.
All right, well, thank you much.
Yep. Will Ryan need to get a placard for the door or anything,
You what?
or will Ryan have to get a placard for the door or anything?
Do you have magnets for your
I've got
vehicles?
magnets.
Okay.
Yeah, I just have
That
magnets.
steel or aluminum?
This one is actually steel. My new truck is aluminum. They
Falls
don't work.
off.
Yes, but this one they do stick. That's exactly right.
You need it on the vehicle?
We got enough. Besides that, it's close enough to the premises now. That's just the agreement between us and KDOT for that signing part of that. They didn't mark, no, they didn't mark this next year. We already did the one for 2021, but this is for 2020.
Do we need to vote on this or just?
It's just one signature?
No, it's all of you,
We're all
well,
signed.
she has to attest.
Pavement marking staff agreement. How much of that did they pay for?
All of it. It's on the high-risk road roads, it's 100%.
High risk roads, for like Eden Valley Road and stuff like that.
It's for any of our blacktop, I mean, basically, any of our blacktop. That's how we did all the signing, and that's how we put the other signs, the minor collectors up there, south of your house.
Yeah.
Up there.
Does this do for the marking?
Yeah, they'll come back,
Passing
and they'll come back,
stuff like that.
yeah, they'll come back and check the passing zones. Because those are all done on the line of sight, instead of ditching it out. I'm pretty sure we probably got some come out. I doubt they have to have it. We are on the side of caution.
But we pay for the painting of the lines on the road. They do it all.
We won't next year or the year after.
Really? Because that was a pretty good expense this year, I think.
It's $40,000 just for.
Yeah, and they'll pick all that up next year. And maybe the year after that.
Yes.
So is this an ongoing program or something?
Yeah,
that
it's
just-
something we apply for every year, and we'll try to apply for it again. We've got all the signs, all the things, now, did one for the county with my collectors. Just did a few of it this year, there's some on it.
Yeah.
And then, we have 2/3 of the county left, which we'll apply for, we applied for it before we got the money. We just didn't get selected on it because there were other counties, their blacktop roads are definitely, they're FAS routes.
Yeah.
Any other motion for that? Move that we sign the agreement with KDOT and Stafford County for marking rural road project.
Second?
We have a motion and a second on the KDOT agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. So when you, back got the electrical done down there?
Yeah, he had 2 other little deals to do.
He's, no, it's, it's, that one's done. And
Have any idea when they might start on the other building?
I will talk to him again, he said it'll probably be after Thanksgiving, sometime around Thanksgiving, Christmas, you know. I don't know where he's at on stuff. He hasn't had too many delays or whatever. I don't know what Christmas is going to be, but I'll get in contact.
I just don't know.
No, I just wondered. But we also need to get all the roads, so it's, make sure it's ready.
How much concrete are they gonna pour down there? Just inside the building or? will they
No,
do
it'll have
outside?
about 10, 15 foot.
Then we'll probably take some bids on the wiring again.
Yeah.
I've asked them several times if they've turned that around on that database.
Yeah. Oh,
I just can't believe it's
yeah.
I was worried that they just did that
Well,
somehow.
and that's why I called him, wrote in and let him. It was a lot. But no, they gotta run to the west side for semis at Walker. Paget Road used to somebody out there in the back of the road. All the shop was. And used to take all the love for.
Plug it in also. So when those guys bring that in the evening, do they fill up with asphalt then? To where in the morning it's all nice and warm?
Yeah, what it, I mean, right now, there's not a whole lot out there, so I think they're gonna go through a whole truckload of it. So sometimes
Yeah.
Roads haven't gotten, too bad. Corn issues. It's just really, it was dry, so. Dry side small bags, but for us, it's okay. Everybody's hauling corn on the dry side.
Yeah.
That stuff.
I know when Dylan Road up there, it looks like it's in good shape. So, we don't have to go in the rain.
Yeah, it's. If we ever get on that older side, there's sea. I don't know. I mean, the roads are good. I've always said the roads are getting rougher before I want to go back to a 5-year SIP program. Or go down, we're going to have to do it, put down a little, go to expensive chip instead of sand. Some chips cost $25.
Program we got going out of course well. No, last time there was some soft spots out there on Dillon Road, you guys brought the back roads out, really took them down. I mean, it seems like we hadn't fixed them.
You know, when you were, if you remember that road was, I know two different times we tore it way out. We have to do that. And then still have problems. While they're running down there. It's just not really good if you don't get that past it. Good neighbors. No asphalt. We live in some place flat, which was, put that asphalt over. So part of digging them out, that one digging them out, I'll be like this. It takes care of asphalt.
So that clay layer there just won't let the moisture get away out from the road.
It's just like a sponge, it just sucks it up, it just sticks with it. It just never dry. If you get a few little cracks, it starts to fly down. That was. Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Eddie? You want to do these separately? I guess we have to then. I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of November 6th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from November 6th meeting. All in favor? Motion passes.
Make a motion, we accept the non-meeting minutes on November 13th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the non-meeting minutes of November 13th. All in favor? Motion passes.
You guys make fun of me, but someday.
And finally, make a motion to accept the minutes of November 11th.
Second.
Ballot canvas.
Ballot canvas.
Second.
Motion and a second for our November canvassing meeting, 11th canvassing meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
That was quite a few.
That was a lot. We have a lot of taxes.
Now, there's a couple there, I don't know whether should accept them.
I know.
I mean, it's almost $100.
Because somebody didn't go sign a sheet.
Are these all the checks I signed?
Yes.
And I will make a motion, we accept the tax roll corrections.
Second.
We have a motion to accept the tax roll corrections. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I guess initial on those.
Yeah.
Just one signature.
There should be two. Well, Kurt's got the other one, so.
This one I'm saying.
Wow.
He's the one that did.
Those
sign
three
the
is-
sheet.
$3 here,
Real quick, the quote on the door.
Yeah.
The reason we got this quote is because the glass is about to fall out of the current one.
Yes.
It's, I pushed on the one side and thought, oh my gosh. So, the quote for the actual door is $4,992. It'll be an insulated, sealed insulated door. And then I went ahead and had him quote the automatic opener too, because I have no, I mean, and it's another $2,250.
You gotta have it.
He suggested we replace that opener. It's ridiculous to put a brand new door and have an opener that's probably 30 plus years old. So, and,
That was $2,250.
the total is $7,242. But if you go down and look at the current door, you can see daylight in between the two doors. I mean, it's just the glass issue. It just worries me to death. Somebody's gonna push on that, it's gonna fall. Teresa says she has to keep popping in the, you know, it has that molding stuff around it. She takes the camera and taps it back in all the time. I didn't realize it was that bad until I pushed on it the other day. So,
How soon can they do this?
we would be pushed to the top of the list, I think, if he comes out. So, I have money in it's called an other equipment fund, which is in a capital outlay fund, which this would come out of capital outlay because it's a capital purchase, it's not something we would do every year. So I've got 15,000 laying in that fund, so,
Pardon?
Does that sound like a lot of money for a door?
Not for a commercial door.
so it's insulated. And the sweeps, he said, because currently if it rains from the north, water runs in. So it's top of the line, I think.
I think when we looked at having their door replaced in a lodge, it's not quite, this would be about double.
So,
Well, I'll make a motion to accept this quote from Jimbo Glass to replace the front doors of the courthouse for $7,242.
We have a motion and a second for Jimbo Glass to replace the doors on the courthouse for $7,242. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
okay.
Mike's here at 9.
Yeah, and do you want to consider Carolyn's request real quick for the demo charges on it's a property in Hudson. A house that some families around Hudson, the Hudson community donated money to purchase this, Eco Devo to purchase it, and they're gonna tear it down in the hopes they can get funding to build a new house on the side. The estimated total cost for the dumping fees would be $800 to $1,000. I mean, you're gonna get some more of these. So if you want to, I mean, I don't know how you decide.
Don't have a picture of the house.
I could probably get one from
What's the address on it?
304 South Main.
But you know, when they come together, when the Hudson's trying to clean up the town, or whether it's Maxwell or St. John or Stafford, I'm all in favor of it. So I'd be in favor of going ahead. I think there's no counties off, but I would be in favor of it.
Good morning. Is that a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the waiver for the landfill from the Stafford County EMS development for the house in Hudson.
They could take out very small loads. They're charging them by the load.
Yeah, he charges $40 a load, and the guy is estimating 20 to 25 loads.
But this is what Darren is waiving on the
It's our
landfill.
fee.
So it doesn't matter whether we're waiving 10 trucks that are heaping full or 20 trucks that are half full.
Like I say, his quote was $40.
That's what
That's
Darren
what Darren
charges
charges.
to dump out there.
So this isn't any money out of our pocket.
It's just nothing but, so.
I guess that's on them if they take too many loads out there and waste there.
It's not that big.
Yeah. I think this is
I bet
probably a
he
guy
thinks
that
it's
has
high.
It's the one between Miller's and Trailer House that Wilson is wanting to sell for a couple of years on the corner. Mike Hill at one time lived there, then he moved over up to View Street. That's the only house along that is uninhabited on South Main.
I think we're going out too also.
Yes.
I'll second.
I said it too.
Okay. Well, then we got a side
We got a third.
We have a motion and a second to approve the waiver for the House of Hudson. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Give us some good news, Mike.
You have a little bit of good news.
Little?
Well, things are looking good.
Good.
Yeah.
You're supposed to tell us you had to use your windshield wipers when you rode into town.
Well, something changed from when I left Great Bend weather-wise to get here. It was the winds picked up a little bit and I could smell, you smell it. Here it comes, here it comes. Okay, so what we did is we went out to the market. Due to your size being under 50 when it comes to self-funded, that limited us. We had a couple that declined, a couple of other carriers that declined because of your size. We were able to get quotes from United Healthcare. We were able to get quotes from Blue Cross. We were able to, we did not ever receive anything from Aetna whatsoever. And they're in a little bit of turmoil. I don't know what they did. They fired their marketing and salespeople out of Wichita, took it out to Kansas City. Those people are non-responsive right now. And I think they're in training. They fired them in the worst time of the year, or laid them off or whatever. But anyways, so the bottom line was we came back, I visited with Nita, we went through, Blue Cross came in and did a little presentation as well, because they were really the next closest thing to what you currently have on the plan. Nobody was head and shoulders better than what you had, so we went ahead and put these on paper, and I want to walk through these and talk about them. On the left-hand column is your current. And again, I want to go back. What you are funding, or what, when we start looking at maximum costs, if that's what the county uses every year to fund, you've been able to build up a reserve over the years. And that reserve will fluctuate, right? You build up a reserve for the bad years. And that's why you do that in self-funding. So I'm going to go from the first column over to, or actually, let's go ahead and look at the renewal with benefit management. As you can see, if you just look at maximum costs, it's a little bit cheaper than what it was last year. Clear at the very bottom, it says estimated maximum cost. And the reason why it says estimated is because during the year, your enrollment changes throughout the year. So it has to say estimated because you might have 1 month 47 people, next month 49, and drop back and forth. So it fluctuates a little bit. But you can see that your annual estimated maximum cost is going down about $20,000. Now, if we go back up to the top, you see the first bold. One of the biggest pieces of that is that there is an increase on the fixed costs from a standpoint of the reinsurance. The reinsurance is going up. The annual aggregate premium, the next bold, is going up a little bit. But what's coming down, and if you remember when I talked to you guys a couple years ago when you had it was in 2017, you had a really high claims year in 2017. And so what that does is if you look at the attachment point, it moves up with you. As your claims go up, it goes up. But as your claims come down, it comes down. And so this year, you had a better claims year, so that number did go back down. So that attachment point is your exposure on claims under $45,000. Okay, because you pay the first 45 on every individual on the plan. So if we add up all those claims, that's your maximum exposure. So your maximum exposure on the overall is coming down. So in a nutshell, when you look at the quote to quote, it's about $20,000 better. I don't like the fixed costs going up, but there was no better fixed costs out there than what you got with your current carrier. And we probably had 20 different carriers amongst from Blue Cross to United Healthcare to the ones I use at Gallagher to the ones Benefit Management uses. And so the incumbent still stayed as the best, even with their increase there. So I'm going to stop there for just a second and answer any questions on this is the incumbent's renewal. Okay. Now, I'm going to jump over. Look at option 3. Option 3, if you look at the top, is a Blue Cross and Blue Shield fully insured. This is the best quote that is on the table, but I want to walk through this. $820,000. So you could save $80,000 by going to a fully insured plan this year on maximum exposure. Again, that 901, you could spend that, but to give you a historical perspective, in 2019, this year, and we'll look at these claims in a second, if we annualize out the last 2 months of this, November and December, based off of the end year, you're going to spend a total, not that 901 or not that 919, you're going to spend $634,000 this year. So that means you're going to, if you funded to that 919, then you're going to put into your reserves $270,000. Because that 919 over in column 1 in current is what you could have spent, but you only spent $634,000. If we go self-funded next, or if we go fully insured with Blue Cross, you're going to send them $820,000. And if you have the same year you had, that means they're going to profit a few $100,000 on you. And I want to give you another. 2018, you spent a little bit more than what you will this year. You spent $734,000. So the difference is still about $90,000 difference between they're fully insured. In 2017, which has been your worst year in the last 10 years, you spent $772. So you're still $50,000 better than what you would be going to the fully insured with Blue Cross. And then I just went ahead and put 2016 on there because you had one of your better years that you had, and that's when you spent $611,000 that year.
How much do we have built up in our reserves?
So then, Mike, on top of that would be dental. When you over here on your option 3,
Yeah.
you're selling medical only,
Yeah,
and then dental is another 21,000.
and you historically spend about $10,000 to $12,000 on dental when you're self-funded. Yeah, so that'd be another 10,000, 8 to 10 grand that you'd be spending on, that Blue Cross would get on a fully insured. Well, that's a fully insured. I want to go through the self-funded side, just so you guys understand that as well.
But-
Blue Cross.
You know, if we keep building up our reserve, I mean, there at some point to where you start cutting the $900 and $1,000 down.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about that today. That's a great point. Yeah.
Right now we have 1.6 million in the reserve.
So let's go ahead and, since you asked that question, let's go ahead and do it now, talk about it now. So typically, rule of thumb is you want to have about 1.5 times your annual claim spend in a reserve. That's a healthy reserve. Right now, you're spending, like this year, you're gonna end up spending about $430,000. But this has been a pretty good year so far this year. And in like that year you spent $772,000, you had about $600,000 in claims that year. Okay, so at 1.6, you're closer to 3 times, 2.5 to 3 times. If we averaged out the last 3 years, you're probably 3 times of a healthy, of what you annually spend. Does that make sense? At 1.6, you're probably about 3 times. So you're about double what is considered in the industry a healthy reserve. So, however, you never know when you're gonna have that catastrophic type claim that could come up and get you. And so you never want to back off and just say, you know what, we're not gonna fund at all to bring that back down in 1 year. But you do have the opportunity at any moment to use part of those funds, say, okay, obviously say we're 3 times now, maybe it's a good year to fund to 600,000 versus the 901 this year, and use 300 of that reserve, or whatever that number that makes sense to do so. I think from your standpoint, due to your size, you probably need a little bit more in reserve than what, because when the industry says that, they're looking at a self-funded plan that's probably on average 150, 200 lives versus yours being small. With you guys being small, one catastrophic claim, because you don't have a lot of people to spread the risk out, one or 2 catastrophic claims can knock into your reserve pretty quickly, if that makes sense.
And with the age of our employees, I think.
Yeah. Well, here's where, and if we can, we do have a couple of things we probably need executive session to talk about on the plan real quick, if we can do that for about probably 10 minutes.
When you were saying, let's go back just a little bit, when you were saying you could take out 300,000, so you would just defund instead of, say we hit some kind of a budget crisis and we need to save 300,000, so we'd instead of doing 901,000, we'd just do 601.
We would just budget 300,000 less at budget time
Yeah.
and pull it out of reserves.
Yeah.
But obviously, we're already budgeted for 2020, so we would have to go to 2020.
Yeah. But if we're just budgeting, if we're just paying less, then we're not building our reserves. Why would we have to pull out of our reserves?
You would only have to pull out of your reserves if you needed the cash.
If something would happen,
Okay.
say, rather this get canceled,
Yeah.
that would wipe that out quick.
Yeah. Okay.
Is the only reason I keep that up so high, because the self-funding is so much,
Yeah. Okay.
so.
And you would like to do an executive session?
I would.
To discuss non-elected personnel?
Yes.
For how long?
Probably, I would say 15 minutes.
Move that we go into executive session for 15 minutes for non-elected personnel with Mike, Nita, and the board.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I mean, that's what you've done. And we've been here before, historically, for a year or two, where we've had to spend a little bit of that reserve to keep what's going in place. And so anyways, that's where, I mean, from a standpoint, after visiting with Nita and everything, for a recommendation this year, I think where you're at is what you need to stay with for this year.
We'll go back into session.
Oh, sorry.
We'll go back into session.
It's on.
She's used to. So if we just stay on the option, if we just stay right where we're at,
Mhm.
I mean, our medical costs will be down basically $18,000
That would
from
be
last year.
correct.
Okay.
Yep, and the one thing, if you go, but if you, again, when it goes to budget time, just like we talked
Right,
about.
next
if
year at
you-
budget time, we may cut out 300,000 from that insurance line item if you want to dip into those reserves and pull something out of there.
Yeah, you're at that,
Unless we have a disaster.
I think this,
I would
in the
just soon
present
keep the
climate.
money there.
That's what I've always
Yeah,
done.
Because
is-
I mean, sometimes something happens and we're like, we need that.
Exactly.
yeah,
That's been my policy since I've been sitting in this chair is we need that
Yeah.
just for in case, especially with self-funded, you just never know.
right.
So,
I wouldn't get into it too much.
no, I don't want to.
What do you think, Clay?
I think we ought to go with option one.
That's kind of what I feel. Kurt,
Yep, I agree.
need a vote on that?
Yeah.
Make a motion, we go in with option one with benefits management for county health employees,
Second.
or county employees' health.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you, guys. The only other thing that I wanted to bring up is on the dental, on your dental plan. Here is this year's, right now, dental, in the whole scheme of things, you're not spending much at all on the dental. And your dental plan is way, I'd say way out of line. You've got, right now, you've got what's called a 50-50-50 plan, which is not uncommon. That means that the plan pays 50%, they pay 50% no matter what they have done at the dentist. But what is out of line is that $500 calendar year maximum. That's the lowest that I see out there. I mean, this is what it was 20 years ago. And it's never changed. And actuarially, I asked them, actually I asked Delta Dental to tell me, if you went from $500 to $1,000, you're probably looking at about a 15 to 20%, increase to your claims. So right now, your claims are from $10,000 to $12,000 a year on this. So you, for a couple of $1,000 extra, you could move that $500 per benefit year from $500 to $1,000. To get, or $750. You could, I mean, you could do whatever it is. But right now, and the reason why I say this, so let's say one person has to have a crown. Okay, and your plan pays 50% of that one crown. Well, they also do their 2 preventatives a year, which you want them to do, right? You want them to do their 2 preventatives. So all of a sudden, if they have a crown and 2 preventatives, we're talking that's gonna be about $1,200–1,300. And right now, your plan will pay the first 5, that means $800 on the member to have that one thing done. So, and typically, and the rule of thumb is that you're able to pay for, your benefits would help enough to pay for 2 crowns and 2 preventative services, which is $2,000, where the plan would pay $1,000 and you would, and the member would pay $1,000.
What's that gonna do to the premiums?
That would, I have to get you a number on that, on what that would do, but it would,
Right now, the employees pay the whole premium for their dental if they want it. So we would need to know.
yep, I would get you that number. I think it was, I actually have that number when I went to the actuary
Okay.
at Delta Dental. I just didn't bring it with me. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. I think it's about,
Do most of the employees do that? Do quite a few of the employees do that?
Oh, I don't know how many we have on dental. Do you?
yeah, right here.
Oh.
You got 14 and 8.
Oh.
Two.
Yeah, you've got 29 and 11, you've got 40 of your, oh wait, you look at the total employee column, so you've got 40 of your 47, 48 that are on it, 38 if you look in October.
And right now, a single plan is $15 a month, and for a family, employee spouse is $30. So I mean, we would just have to adjust that accordingly.
Yep, and yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's up to the employee if they want it. This doesn't have anything to do with these numbers.
But I mean, I don't
I think that 1,000, what
I
you're
think we
saying.
need to raise it.
Yeah, because
And if they
500
want it,
doesn't
they want
get
it, if
nothing.
not, they can drop it.
Right, and then we give you what, I mean, you're not talking
Just-
too far off from
just-
those numbers. I mean, there would be a little bit increase there.
I paid that much all year, 10,214.
But really, that's not, I mean, the employees pay that themselves, right?
Yes, that is
So,
a
I mean, this
voluntary
really
benefit.
isn't any of our
We're
money.
not going to the dentist very much.
No, some of them don't.
Twice a year.
I see you. Hopefully, that's all you have to go, right?
So-
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that, I mean, looking at all of your benefits, the rest of them, when you look at your deductible and co-insure, that's, you know, 1,750 out of pocket is low anymore, but that's a good benefit that you're giving your employees. Most of people we've talked about in the past is a little bit higher than that out of pockets. The rest of your plan is a really good plan, from a prescriptions all the way down.
The prescriptions, we just got a check back for over $15,000 on rebates for the first 2 quarters, so, and that's more than we've ever gotten before. So
Yeah.
that's-
And is that plan last year where they were going, wanting to go with the generics or the cheaper option?
Is with
Okay.
Express.
No, we switched PBMs last year because there was about a 40, when it all said and done, we were looking at probably, and I didn't bring that, but I'll bring that to you guys next time to show you. We were looking at if we switched to Express Scripts from where you were at with the other PBM, that you were gonna save $40,000 to $50,000 a year in rebates and as well as the cost of the medications. So,
That's very good. I've been very happy with Express Scripts.
Yeah. we have
good,
to-
good. And so one of the things is rebates. In the past, rebates wise, you were getting a couple thousand, probably $3,000 a quarter or
Yeah, roughly.
$2,000 to $3,000 a quarter. And now you're looking at $8,000 or $9,000 a quarter, and those will just increase as we go.
Mhm.
And the difference is that it's just it's the Walmart mentality. The bigger the PBM, the better rebates they get and give back to you from the manufacturers. And the old PBM, they were smaller, I love them, but they just couldn't compete when it came to the rebates and some of those kind of things, so we're leaving dollars on the table. So that was good, and you'll get your next check will come in February, it'll be
Yeah.
another probably $9,000, and then they'll start coming every quarter from then on out. It should be about $35,000 to $40,000 in rebates a year, and those will grow. So, but I would say if you guys want to change that you would
I
need
think
to.
we should do that,
Okay.
even if the employee has to pay a little more if they choose to, because that 500 doesn't go.
We had,
It's not anything.
last year, we had 8 people that hit the 500, no, I'm sorry. We had 6 people that hit the $500 max, and of those 6, only 2 would have hit the 1,000. I think 2 would have hit the 1,000. You were one of them? That was in 2018, I didn't look
I
at
think
2019.
maybe it was 17.
No,
You have 1 crown a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Crown's over 1,000, isn't it?
Oh,
I
yeah,
thought it was 2,000 probably.
closer to.
Yeah,
Are you
if you
going
need
for
a-
one now?
If you need a tooth replaced,
I
that's
should have brought my paper.
2,500.
Yesterday. I got all mine
Yeah.
outlined and they give you the expenses. That's scary.
Do you need some?
So do we need to vote on increasing that to 1,000?
You wanna do that now?
That would be great, and then we'll get an amendment done on your
Is it
plan.
written?
How do you, what do you call it?
I would just say a motion to increase the maximum, maximum amount payable on your dental plan to 1,000.
Okay. I would move that we move the maximum amount payable on our dental plan to 1,000.
Second.
A motion is second on increasing the maximum amount paid on the dental plan to 1,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Where on these pages does it show like what the deductible, like somebody on the family plan would be?
It doesn't, but I'll give you this.
Okay.
That is your,
Family. So once they meet their deductible, then they pay
a co-insurance.
like an 80/20?
It is, yep, it's an 80/20 to another $1,000 out of pocket for a single. So a single person can pay $1,750 on medical expenses. A family, that would be times 2 on a family. So if you have a family of 5, one person meets the 750 and 1,000 for themselves, then the rest of the 4 would have the other 750 and the other 1,000. So the maximum out of pocket for a family, no matter your size, would be $3,500 or $1,750 for a single.
And then once you meet your maximum, then there's no kind of a $25 visit copay or anything like that?
We don't have co-pays.
Okay.
Nope. The only thing that you could continue to pay on is your prescription drugs.
Okay.
Once you've done that, if you go, but from a medical side, once you hit 1,750, you have no other costs except for prescription drugs you can continue to pay.
Okay.
Yep. You can have that if you want.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you all. We will have a wrap. I'll probably try to get with Nita after probably in the February timeframe, just to wrap up the year, let you know where we're at on some of the things we discussed today. What we find out over the next few months, and help plan accordingly on that, so. Okay,
Good, good.
all right. Thank you, Mike.
Thank
You bet, thank you. You guys have a great day. Oh, I need to bring it.
You need to sign that.
Yes. I wrote on this.
That's the only thing I'm
I'll
making.
send you a new copy if that's all right, if you want to sign that. I'll sign you, I'll just send you the signed note.
Okay. I've already been. I can't believe I got it here.
Blue.
That's fine.
Okay.
Let's see, I could
You got enough of them over there?
do just 2.
Bring your Kirk and Michael.
Yeah. Gave it to Todd. Oh, and he left it on the table.
This one's out of heat yet.
It was yawning. God.
Oh, he brought his.
Well, they brought it all the way back.
Okay.
Hope he would have filled the koozie with something to say.
I just wish they'd change their roller pins to black ink instead of blue.
No, just one. The other one's
First impression.
see what the real.
Oh, no way.
We read the price of the drug. Tonight, but, so we're good.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a great day. You.
So goodbye.
I just didn't bring one.
All right, we'll see you later.
Thanks.
I can sneak in here before Marshall.
Yep.
I did want to say, I did receive a verbal bid for the 2005 Trailblazer of $1,000 from LJJ.
For 1,000?
Can we have a motion?
I would move that we take the $1,000 bid
I'll second it.
before he rescinds it.
Yeah. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I
Don't give
figured
him a
he'd
paper
probably-
cut when he
I
brings
figured
it.
it'd be 300 or 400, but that's.
Yeah, 1,000, it's awesome.
Because he said he said to take 4,000, put them over in, he gets a good wrench, because they have the warranty. So
That's
I was like, and I said, I'll take this to commissioners right now. Is that all right? That's all right.
That's good.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
got
guys.
to deal with
Good
purple
work.
wave.
Good work, Brian.
Yeah. Excited about it. Thank you. Yep.
Okay, let's see, Marshall, you have his list, his Christmas list.
Uh-huh, I see it.
His Christmas wish list. You guys are Santa.
The stuff there at the top is just, we started work on the training facility last Saturday. We're gonna continue to work on it when we can. We're gonna have another chiefs meeting December 1st or 2nd. We had one November 4th. That's when we come up with most of this stuff that we're gonna go over today. We got the new truck from Forestry Service yesterday. So that will be sandblasted and then shipped to Maxville. They're gonna build it, put it in their station to replace 418.
So how big of a tank will this forestry truck have on it?
What is that tank on? That was on 76.
750, 800 gallons, something like that.
So it won't be considered a tanker, I mean, it's just a
Right.
brush truck.
Brush truck, yeah. The Hudson truck is done back in Hudson Station. Jerry got it finished Thursday of last week. So run into some snags on it, but it's up and going and runs better than it has in the past. So the first thing there is, we've had some issue with our rescue equipment. We broke some cutters, we blew some hoses, we have some power units that are failing. Most of our rescue equipment is 20-plus years old, never been updated. We, as chiefs and assistant chiefs and captains, last Thursday had, Denko came down, and this is the stuff that we demoed. The ones that are circled is the rescue equipment that we used. We pretty much disassembled a car in 30 minutes with that equipment. The equipment we have now would take close to 2 hours to do what we done. Some of the stuff that was broke, I mean, we're looking at $2,000 or $3,000 just to fix it. 20-year-old stuff, and how long that's gonna last, I don't know. So by replacing one set of jaws, now these are all demo models, so they're roughly a year old. Instead of a 10-year warranty, we have 9 years left on the warranty on them. They are hydraulics, so they're all battery powered. Batteries got a 2-year warranty on them. Batteries run about $500 a piece if you have to replace them. Originally, the price for what we're wanting, which I've got that quote here, that's the quote. I took out the very bottom line, the $638. That stuff is right there close to $30,000 brand new. So I mean, we save about $8,400 by buying a demo unit.
So instead of it being to where you have one unit that's got the cutters on it, and then one unit's got the spreader on it, or changing the heads, the
Well,
misses.
what we have right now is we have cutters, spreaders, but then we have hydraulic hoses, and then we have a power unit. So most of the time, our power units will not run 2 tools at the same time. So if you need to do something, you have to stop, switch tools. This, you grab them and go. I mean, you can actually have 3 people working at one time and not have to stop and change stuff. The cutters, I mean, we got a quote to replace the cutters on the one tool that broke. It's $1,000. Now, by replacing one set of jaws this year, we can take some of the stuff that St. John has and redistribute to where the stuff is broke. You know, the cutters that are broke, we've got a set of cutters that are identical that we can send over there instead of fixing them. The hoses we have, we can send over there and have them fixed. The power units,
How often do you guys fire those up and use them on exercise, or?
we
Try to
use
do it
them-
once a year?
I mean, we actually start the power units once or twice a month. Sometimes more than that. But, you know, you're still dealing with gas-powered stuff, and when it's 30 degrees outside, sometimes that stuff don't start at all. Another big thing is the wreck that happened on 281 by Dudley's Bends. It took over an hour to cut the guy out of the vehicle because of equipment malfunction.
Is that when it broke?
We broke cutters there, we blew hydraulic hose there. We couldn't get stuff switched over. You know, and it's probably a good thing the guy that was trapped in the vehicle was not life-threatening injuries, because if it was, it would probably been a completely different outcome.
This ram is basically just a jack for pushing it apart?
Well, basically, a lot of that's used for, I mean, when they're pinned in by the dash, it rolls down on top of them.
Push it back.
You push it back up out of the way.
So how many JAWS units do we have in the county right now?
Right now, Maxville has one, St. John, Hudson. Stafford actually has 2 units on their rescue truck. Stafford is actually outfitted for full rescue. So they roll to every accident. One of their units was donated 8 years ago to the Stafford Fire Department, not the county, to the Stafford Fire Department. It is the newest JAWS unit we have. So, I mean, we essentially have 5 units, but 4 of them are county-owned and are all right there in that 20 to 25-year range of age. And so something we had even talked about, and the guy from Danco, Ron, said, if you guys budget for it, let us know and we'll hold a set when you guys want a new set of demo tools. So if we decide, when we do budget in 2020, for 2021, we can budget that money for a set of demo tools.
So on this, are you thinking about budgeting that, waiting for budget, or do you want to go ahead and buy it out of your capital outlay fund now?
We actually have money in our budget this year. For everything on this list, there is plenty of money in our budget, and we'd like to just buy it out of our budget this year. Otherwise, we're gonna have to, I mean, we've got equipment right now that's not operable.
So will this unit go to the St. John station?
This unit will go to the St. John station, yes.
And all of the chiefs are fine with that?
This was, yeah, I mean, it was, we discussed it all during chief's meeting, and that's what we come up with, and we would slowly like to phase everything out of the power units, the hoses and everything like that, and go to hydraulics.
So would you take the unit that's broke down now and use it for parts, or would you try to resell it, or what?
We would take the stuff we have in St. John and redistribute it to where the stuff that broke is.
Okay.
And keep whatever we can for parts, you know, until everything gets replaced. I mean, the value on them is, nobody wants them. Nobody wants their old stuff.
Yeah. Your power, your gas motors that drive the hydraulic pumps would have a little bit of value.
Probably not. Everything's changed so much, even the new ones. And that's part of the problem we run into, and when you find parts for them, that's why it's $700 and $800 for them parts, or $1,000, or,
Well, if you sold it, somebody would buy those power units for something other than Johnson Life.
I don't know if they would work for them.
Really?
I mean, they don't have a very big reservoir on them, they're not.
Really? Okay.
I mean, we could look into it, but I mean, as of now, if we can salvage parts off of them for another unit, that's what we would do.
Okay.
You could have a liability issue if they don't get somebody out to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that liability necessarily falls on us, but it
Might fall on someone.
sure makes,
And you need to get somebody
Makes bad
out.
publicity.
You need to get them out.
well, and that's the thing, I mean, when we demoed these, I mean, it's night and day difference. I mean, the reaction time, the time that it takes to pop a door and cut it off is so much quicker than what we have now.
So would you guys put like an inverter in there to where the battery packs are charging all the time?
Yeah, I mean,
Or in
they-
the truck?
It doesn't even have to have an inverter because they all come with chargers for the trucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I imagine they have test lights or something to,
Yep.
so do you guys want to do this all as one deal, or?
I just do this one.
Okay.
I would move that we purchase the JAWS for $21,600.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to purchase JAWS for $21,600. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, guys. You need to do this. On to mobile command. We've actually, me and Tom and Rob have been doing this for 3-4 weeks now. We've gone through different options of getting radios put in there. The first option come in at about 14,000.
And change.
And some change. We kind of scratched that idea. This is the proposal we have now from B&B Equipment. It's actually the cheapest we've come up with. It's buying some used radios, and the radios are broke down compared to installation, cables, stuff like that. And this would allow us to communicate with basically anybody and everybody, 800 radios, UHF, VHF. We would have page capabilities out of that unit, so I mean, if something happened at dispatch, you know, we'd still have an access to page out or whatever
And these are all radios that would be mounted in the command
in the
unit?
command unit, yes. Yeah.
Was that total? 23?
The first, yeah, there's
two
there's two
pages.
totals there. Yeah, one is just for the radios and the other is the installation and cables and battery backup and stuff like that for the unit.
So would that come out of fire's budget, or is that partly sheriff's department budget, or what?
This is all coming out of fire department budget. I
So you're
know-
gonna charge them if they have a shooting in Hudson and they gotta roll in a unit, or what?
No, you know, and honestly.
I don't charge them to page them. See, I don't charge them to page them to fire, so
There
they
you
better
go.
not charge me.
I guess the thing about it is the fire department is set up that we do have the money and, you know, that's kind of one of the things the chiefs all discuss. We can afford to do it. You know, emergency management doesn't have a big budget. The sheriff's department has enough stuff that they have to spend money on. We have it in our budget, and so that's why we just like to take care of it, get it done, and not put it off and wait. It's a lot better than the 14,000 that, and even at the 14,000, Rob was gonna have to spend some of his money, but this, I think, will work out so much easier and a lot cheaper.
Just a simple training for dispatchers
Yeah.
on how the radio works. It's not much different than what they're used to, except there's will be a few more buttons involved, but it'll be actually pretty simple in the grand scheme of things.
So these radios are compatible with every agency within,
When they are programmed, they will be.
Yes.
Our 800,
With the 800, all the counties around have 800. We just have to get their frequencies and programmability, like he says, and then we'll be able to talk and deal with them.
because it seems like for the last, I don't know how many years, there was always issues about radios. One had outdated and couldn't get placed.
Unfortunately, they do that all the time, though.
And the 800 was gonna be the answer to all, and
That's what the state went with, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be in there for a while longer yet.
yeah.
But right now, with what we're putting in there, we should be able to communicate with any county around us and the state. I mean, even
We already
federal
have
government.
2 800 radio channels designated for Stafford County.
Yeah.
And we have been buying slowly but surely a few portables, a few mobiles, all 6 of our vehicles
All of our units have
have 800 radios in them, and the sheriff and I just purchased
handhelds.
handheld portables. So, you know, Phil has got his portables, Marshall's got his portables, so we're
Yeah.
slowly but surely trying to stay with the game and not get ahead of the game, but just kind of stay right there with it.
Because we have our own SO 800 channel, and then the other channel, which is designated basically fire, that we can use.
and then our tower will handle,
Our tower,
Our-
not on, our tower, not for 800.
We don't have an 800 tower in the county, so we bounce off of Reno County, Barton County, Edwards County, Brett County, Rice County, depending on where you're located. And Bonnet County.
The state normally puts those up, except for I think Rice County put their own up.
Yeah, Rice County put their own tower.
But otherwise, the state has put them up for their highway patrol. And they're, all units here can bounce off whichever one, and then they have good communications.
so Marshall, this is the total is 53,1927
Yes.
for both of these. I'll make a motion we purchase the radios for the command center for $5,319.27. So,
We have a motion and a second for 5,319.27 cents. All in favor?
aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, next thing, we've talked about it and talked about it for a long time. We buy a bunch of ice every year. The city has talked about buying an ice machine for the fire station out here. Chiefs discussed county buying one, bagging it ourselves here, having it at the EMS station and bagging it because every department has a freezer. During the summertime, if we have a big incident or something, St. John EMS is typically the one that responds. They load up water, Gatorade, keep stuff cold. Myself and Pat, we carry a cooler with us in the red truck. During the summer, you know, twice a day, we keep ice on it. Buying ice gets pretty expensive, so we wanted to look into purchasing one to put out at the EMS office in the back room there, tied in with everything else. We reached out to Intergreen. We never got a quote back from them. Davis's, I checked with them. They said they're gonna basically get it the same place we get it, online. Said they can't really save us any money doing it that way. So we just got online and found one. I mean, that's the ice machine, and this is, shipping's $12, and then there's a water filtration system that goes with it, tax 2014-29. I think it's got a 98-pound bin, it'll make 135 pounds a day. So it's something else we'd like to look at purchasing for the county.
And there'll be installation on top of that.
There will be, and I talked to Davis's about it just so that they, and they said they'd be more than happy to install, you know,
For the filters.
just
Water
get
line.
everything plumbed in, water line, drain line, stuff like that. They didn't have an issue with it. I said, well, I don't wanna, you know, buy something and then ask you to come put it in, but they were perfectly fine with it.
Where you gonna put it?
It'll go back there in the, kinda in the back where EMS has their laundry room and stuff like that.
So these are the refreshments you'll stock.
We all wanna keep,
Well, there's a code on the door.
ooh, I need to tell you.
This is one of the better brands of ice makers, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, we could go cheaper, but I mean, sometimes you get what you pay for too.
It's not Sonic ice, is it?
No, it's not Sonic ice.
You're gonna have to have a drain.
Yeah, but we've got, I mean, everything, where we want to put it, it's all real accessible within a couple feet.
Because that back room besides washer and dryer, it has a shower stalls with
Yeah.
a floor drain. I mean, there is everything else they can plug into in that back room
Yeah, let's get that one
The
designed.
only
School
one
has
thing
bricks
is
in it.
every once in a while knock
So you
down the
don't have a
ice.
cheap one.
Right.
Yeah, because if
And
not,
and that's like I said, I
you're
mean,
gonna
we
have
could
half
get
a bin and
something
it's gonna be cranked up.
$1,000, but you kind of get what you pay for.
And these have an automatic sanitizer on them. I know from experience. So you wanna spend some more money, huh?
I would like to,
You got
yes,
the money for this?
absolutely.
I'll make a motion, we purchase the ice machine.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the fire department to purchase an ice machine. All in favor? Motion passes.
The last thing on the list there, with the new truck that we got from Forestry, we need a pump, which this pump is actually not gonna go on the new truck. This one will go on St. John's tender, because the pump that is on it is not really designed for transferring. It's more of a firefighting pump. This is more just a transfer. We don't have to have the pressure. All we need to do is move the water off the tender. So what we'll do is we'll put this pump and motor on our tender, and we'll take the better one that we spend about $6,000 on, and we'll go to the new truck over in Maxville. I looked around, Jeremy Butler's got one of these, he uses these on his tender truck. He said it's about the best pump on the market for, just transferring stuff. I think he said about 14 minutes he can transfer 3,200 gallons of liquid off of his truck. So, for what we're doing, filling trucks, that'll work perfect. And then the better pump can go on their fire truck when they build
So
it.
that's about 250 gallon minute pump.
Mhm. Yep. And we don't have anything, if you buy something like that through a fire store, you're gonna pay 3 times that money.
Good electric stuff.
It's electric start. It's basically it's got a Honda motor on it. And when I called them, they said, well, that's the best thing you can actually buy for what you want to do, just transfer water. He said, it's self-priming pump. It's got a wet seal in it, so if you run it dry, it's not gonna tear the seal up in it. It's pretty much a fail-safe type motor and pump.
I move that we purchase the Ag Spray, or the pump from Ag Spray Equipment for $1689.45.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And I think that's all I have for you guys, unless you guys got any questions for me or anything I can answer for you.
Hold off for a while before you come back.
I'm actually hoping that, this takes care of the
meetings in a row.
majority of the stuff that we need,
So the
Yeah.
sandblasting of that truck, will that just be the cab or will that be the whole truck?
We just do the cab and then we rhino line the bed.
And that'll be right around $500.
I think it was $550 or $600 to have it sandblasted.
And then the guys over at Maxwell will paint it
They're gonna paint it.
and just switch everything over off their old truck.
Well, no, they're basically gonna do what we just done in Seward. They're gonna build from the ground up.
So we'll probably be looking at a tank.
We have a tank. We have a tank off of an old truck, but the bed is just not.
As far as like the hose and the hose reels,
Most of that stuff we all have.
okay, so
Yeah.
they're not gonna be looking at a whole lot more money.
No.
Incidental stuff like that.
I would say the only other expense we have really coming yet that I'm not sure what is what it cost us to rebuild the truck up at Hudson, the motor.
Okay.
Um,
Do you guys have the light bars and stuff?
We may have to, well, no, we have light bars. We have almost everything for that truck that's gonna be built in Stafford, or in Maxville.
Okay.
So, other than the odds and ends, small stuff, most of everything we have, yes.
What
So-
obstacles did Jerry run into?
So they rebuilt the whole thing, but when they pulled the sleeves out, all of the ring grooves that hold the O-rings, they had to go in and build all of them back up and rebuild them, sand them down, get them back to where they would hold the O-rings. So he had, I'm gonna say he said somewhere around 12 to 13 hours just in doing that. So I'm gonna say that bill's probably $3,000 to $5,000. It took a lot of time. And then there was, when that motor was rebuilt, it wasn't forestry, but government had it. It wasn't done right. We had to put a set of injectors in it because all the injectors were mismatched. And he actually put the old injectors in it and couldn't get it to run right. So he pulled injectors out and replaced, not brand new, but rebuilt injectors. And all them injectors are the same. I told him to check into having the ones that we pulled out rebuilt so that we have some on hand. If we have 5 of these trucks or 6 of these trucks, and then we wouldn't necessarily have to buy a reman injector. So I mean, there's some stuff that we run into that we weren't, but I actually think the truck runs better than it ever has. I mean, it sounds a lot better. and-
Yes, it does.
Does it go faster?
I have not driven it. My captain drove it back and parked it in the station, and, I mean, just sitting there idling, it sounds a whole lot better. It really does. And Billy did say, he said he thought it had a little bit more power than what it did before. So, you know, you can check them trucks, check the oil on them, check water on them every station meeting, but just like that, you never know anything was wrong with it.
And Jerry seemed to think that it was damaged from the last time when it was done the first time, it wasn't done right. and
It was just not on borrowed time.
so,
I'm just happy to have it back, as dry as it is, so. Something else that squirts water in North Inwood County,
It's gonna
so.
rain today.
Let it,
so,
absolutely.
We're not under a burn ban. I know some counties are going the burn ban thing.
I don't know who they would want to be running this time of year.
Not me.
Ballpark figure, what do you reckon we got in that motor?
I'm gonna say we're probably somewhere right there at the 3,000 to 5,000.
It's still pretty cheap.
But, I mean, we did find one used motor in Dodge City. They wanted $6,000 for it, plus our old motor. So, I mean, and there you are, you're buying a used motor that you don't know nothing about. So, I mean, I figure even if we have 6,000 in it, we know what we have done.
I just know what it costs to rebuild a Cummins irrigation motor. And it's the kit that costs twice that.
So, yep. But I'm gonna say that's where we're at, ballpark figure 3 to 5. I mean, probably closer to the 5,000, but you can't replace a truck for that either. So,
And the truck that you're sending to Maxville is a forestry truck, right?
yes,
Okay.
basically, I don't know if it's 2 years or 3 years, it'll actually become ours, so they'll just sign it over to us.
I think it was after 2 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, you retain it for 2 years, and after 2 years, they sign title over, and then you own it.
And you guys have been short of trucks, so this will give you a full,
Yeah, Maxville's,
Full
I'm not part of Maxville's anymore.
oh, really?
Yeah.
yeah, Maxville's
I'm
been
here to say
short.
John only.
Maxville's been short a truck
I retired from
since October or November of last year.
Yeah, we moved.
When you moved the white truck up
White
there.
truck.
When you moved the white one up there.
Yeah.
You know, a year ago, about this time, a year ago, or maybe in December, we met with all the chiefs, had them come up here one evening and met with us. Do we want to do that again, just to see?
What's your feeling?
I ain't got no complaints. Things are running the way. that
Which
they
way
should.
don't want complaints?
Well,
Yeah.
things are running the way that they should be
When are you gonna
running,
meet
with the
them?
Or do
way.
you guys wanna go to their meeting?
Well,
that'd be-
that's
Yeah.
the thing, and so we tentatively have our next chiefs meeting December 2nd, but the chiefs were in favor of meeting on Sunday, that evening, the 1st. If you guys want to meet with the chiefs and assistants prior to the meeting, that's perfectly fine. If you want to come up here, or you guys want to come out there,
I don't have a problem going out there. I just think that's, if anybody had a complaint, we ought to make it to where they have the option to.
and I informed
Say
them all at our last chiefs meeting. I told them, I said, I think the commissioners want to meet with you guys, and I said, don't hold anything back. If I'm doing something wrong, or the assistant's doing something wrong, let them know.
So, the 1st of December?
That would be a Sunday night,
Yeah, because the second's is Monday.
is Monday, and I think,
A lot of them's- you got a lot of ball games and stuff.
well, not
starting
only
and
that,
things like
I
that.
think it might run
Schools.
into an issue with, the EMS, because they still have class on Mondays and Thursdays.
Would you want to let Nina know or text us before and then we can decide whether, I mean, I wouldn't mind going. I don't know, more than 2
I
weeks
think
ago.
it's
we need
good to
put-
keep
I think
communication
it's
open
good.
and.
I think it's good that you guys hear from them, directly from them.
Yeah,
So, like I said, I don't have anything to hide, so.
yeah.
Oh, whatever, you're a closed book.
Yeah.
And I think the fire truck in Maxville, the one they're gonna rebuild, once you get it there, it'll get built a lot faster than most of the other trucks because winter's time's coming on
And they have more time.
and
Yeah,
got a couple of guys that
need a lot
keeps
of
them busy. We're
projects.
paying them anyway.
Yep. So,
And it
yeah,
helps the
I
city.
think it'll be a pretty quick turnaround with Maxville building that truck, so.
So will they build it there in the fire station or the city?
No,
I
building,
think,
or-
more
I think they're
likely
gonna take it
shed.
to Jeremy's shed,
Yeah.
That's where the last one was done, because it had more room.
more room and.
Well, he's got all the
equipment.
tools and stuff.
So,
Sounds good.
I will let Nita know, and she can pass it on to you guys on the meeting,
Okay.
so. that'll work.
Just publish it then.
I'll just notify the
Change.
papers, if all three of you are ready to go.
We've got you down on the
You're
launch
gonna have it out
for
there.
the appreciation deal.
The 14th.
The 14th, gonna eat at 6:30. If you could give me some idea of what you think as far as kids for candy, bags of candy.
We gave everybody till Friday this week, and so Friday I should have a total number for you.
And then I think we're gonna have some kind of a door prize giveaway deals, where if you guys wanna figure on, I don't care whether you just want the people that are EMS to be able to sign up for it, or the whole family members, I mean, that's kind of up to you guys.
Okay.
But I think, were we giving away 3 prizes?
Me?
Yep, so we'll let you guys kind of figure out how you want to do
Yeah.
it.
Okay, yep. I'll get you a close number Friday sometime.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, guys.
I need-
There you go.
I use the rest of
Not yet.
Mike's not coming today.
Oh, okay.
He's in,
Hey, Marshall, I'll get
jury
yours,
trial.
I'll get you
Reno.
today.
I just got a couple things I needed to try to.
Elected person.
You have anything?
You guys have anything?
We'll adjourn after,
Yeah.
I move we go into executive session for 10 minutes for non-elected personnel, and we will probably adjourn that.
second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.